I set myself a goal 3 months ago. It was to do yoga 6 days a week for the next 3 months with the goal of building a long-term yoga habit in my life. And it's now about 3.5 months from that moment and I've achieved this goal. So today I want to share the 5 things I did to bring a new habit into my life and to sustain it for the long term. So when we think of exercise, I love exercise and I've always been good at doing exercise, but there's one component of exercise I've always sucked at, and that is flexibility. Cardio, strength, explosive work, any other type of exercise I spend time doing each week. And flexibility has been that thing in my life that I've never actually really did, other than when I do a stretch at the end of a class. And it's always been that thing I know I should do, but I never get around to doing it. In the last couple of years, as I've aged, I've started to get some issues with my body, which have probably been the effect of me never having flexibility in my life. So at the beginning of July, I sat down and I thought to myself, I want to set a goal of trying to do yoga 6 days a week for the next 3 months with the idea of building a yoga habit into my life. So I'm going to be looking after my body and creating more flexibility, more body care work in my day, which is better for my long-term body. Now, I didn't want this goal to be one of those goals that I start with good intention and end up quitting within the first week or two, which we see a lot with people with exercise habits, as they have a good intention of achieving a fitness goal. They start really well and then they fall off the wagon. So I had a kind of a 5-tier approach to how I was going to achieve this goal. And because I've achieved this goal and I've continued on doing yoga, I want to share the 5 tips with you. So tip number 1, and me bringing or advice that I've gained from this, was I had to understand my why. In the past, doing yoga or doing stretching was something I knew I should do, but I never got around to doing it. And because I knew I had to bring it into the long term right now, I had to shift my why of doing the yoga. And I'm going to be honest, I'm now 46. My why of doing yoga in my day is I want to move how I love moving for as long as possible in my life. So the injection of a body care process like yoga every day is a really important piece to put in place. So my why for doing yoga is I want to keep moving how I love moving for as long as possible. And if I can do this habit, it's going to be really, really important. The second thing is I had to put the right expectation on the amount of yoga that I should be doing each day. Now, I lead a very busy life. I'm up at 4:45 every morning. I tend to work through to about 7 every day. Sure, I have breaks in between, but I work a lot of hours. So the idea of me trying to do like hours yoga every day was just not realistic. So when I set a yoga goal, I was looking for a realistic yoga goal that I could put in place each day. And my goal was to do 20 minutes of yoga every day or 6 days a week for the next period of time. And I think this has been really important to my success. Now, I'll admit, there's been the odd occasion where I've done 40-minute and hour sessions, but generally speaking, the 6 days a week that I've been doing has been 20 minutes because it's realistic to fit into the life that I currently have. Tip number 3, and this is really important, I had to become a legendary planner in how I was going to fit it into my day. And I'll share what I did because I'm someone who's very organized. I plan my day out. I've got my organizer and it kind of covers my whole life. And in assessing and trying to bring a yoga habit into my life, I knew the only opportunity for me to do it was to get up a little bit earlier in the morning and make my morning routine a bit more sharper and give myself a little bit more time in the morning to fit this in. So what I did is I realized I needed to get out of bed 8 minutes earlier in the morning for me to fit yoga in. Because normally when I get out of bed, I have breakfast, I've got my morning process, I've got my daily planning in front of me, and then I start my day. And that normally used to take me about 40 minutes to do all those steps. And there was a little bit of mucking around in there. So I'd also check the internet for about 5 minutes as a part of that. So I realized if I didn't check the internet and I got up 8 minutes earlier, that would give me 20 minutes to be efficient in getting my yoga in before I started the day. So as you can see, I was really looking at how can I plan this in and give myself the best chance of actually fitting it in. Now, what I did to counter that is I went to bed a little bit earlier. So Joe and I traditionally go to bed closer to 8:45 to 9 o'clock at night, whereas we're starting to go to bed about 8:30. So a little bit earlier to bed, which means I get to sleep a little bit earlier, which means I don't lose sleep, but I get that extra 8 minutes out of bed earlier, which means I get my yoga in. Just within that, there needs to be intent in the morning. Actually, let's go to tip number 4. Tip number 4 is it needs to be a priority. And this is really important, the intent of priority. And what I mean by this is when I wake up out of bed in the morning, I know that I've got to get these 4 or 5 things done before I actually get out the door to start my day. So there's a real sense of prioritization of these things as I get done. And the way I've structured my morning, I just don't have much time to muck around. So I don't have time to look at the internet as I start my day. So I get out of bed, come into the kitchen, have my breakfast, come and do my morning process, and then do my yoga, and then I'm out of the door. So I have a prioritization of these are the things that I need to get done as soon as I wake up. So there's kind of an intent to my morning, not just kind of a lazy muck around to my morning. And I think this is maybe one of the biggest reasons I've been successful is I've kept that intent and that prioritization in place no matter what the conditions of me doing this. And then step number 5 to my success is actually just me starting to understand 2 things actually. Understand that I won't feel amazing change quickly, but I will feel change in the long term. And when you've got a flexibility routine, after a week, you're not going to notice a massive amount of change on your body. You've got to trust that in 2 or 3 months from now, you're going to be able to see the gains of this. And I went with that approach. So I wasn't looking for fast results. I was looking for sustainable long-term habits that will give me long-term benefits. Now, I'm about 3.5 months into this process. And when I first started doing it, for example, my forward fold, I could get my fingertips to the ground, but that was pretty much the extent of it. Now I can get my palms flat on the ground as I'm doing a forward fold. So each or 6 days a week for the last period of time have meant that I'm starting to see the benefits of the work that I did throughout this time period. So I trust the long-term kind of benefits that were going to come, but I didn't rush them at the start of my process. Now, my goal right now is to make this a long-term habit. And I've got to be honest, I've continued on after the 3 months and I do see this being a long-term habit. So these are the 5 things I've done. First of all, I thought of my why. Why is this important to me? A, I want to move like the way I love to move for the long term. Secondly, I used the right type of yoga for what I could fit into my life. So 20-minute yoga videos off YouTube, perfect for me. Thirdly, planned like a legend. Where was my opportunity? How do I make sure I can fit that into my day? Number 4, the prioritization of this with the intent when I wake up in the morning. And number 5, don't expect fast results. Trust that results will come in the long term. This is a good insight into how I've brought a new habit into my life and haven't just started with quitting. So if you're trying to bring a habit into your life, maybe this is the approach that you can add to your process in doing this as well. If you enjoy my pieces and you want to bring exercise into your life, you need to check out my book, I Will Make You Passionate About Exercise. This book is designed to be a step-by-step journey that teaches you the right lessons and experiences to guide bringing exercise into your life, not just for a moment, but where you get to the place where you have a long-term love of exercise. So you get fitter, you get healthier, you have great stress releases, and you feel amazing about yourself. This book has been hugely successful, getting into the top 10 in the world for health and fitness books. So if it's time for you to bring health and fitness into your life, go to Passion About Exercise, click on the link, go through the process, and you can be starting your journey of finding your love for exercise really soon.